Hey
Well,
guys.
what a what a picture of Quentin Tarantino, a Photoshop double background, and the word X-rated. I went for something dramatic for this one, although
Yeah.
no one's watching it live yet, so no one hears the. So we've always got to keep the jokes for like a slight pause until people pop in. But yes, hello.
Yeah. A lot of people are already complaining. It's not X-rated, it's R-rated. But
Oh, I didn't. Okay,
yeah, whatever.
didn't even occur to me. Didn't even occur to me.
So hello everyone. We're of course here again as usual to talk with you guys about something cool in Star Trek, and I guess the one of the really relative things right now is the Quentin
Relevant.
Tarantino relevant. That's what I meant to say. That's what I didn't sound right. That's why I stumbled over it.
Yeah.
Um, and that is the Quentin Tarantino script supposedly being finished,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
it's R-rated. So
Mhm.
apparently,
Mhm.
there's lots of swearing and violence. Um, I don't know about the swearing, but yeah, well it's going to be a good discussion for sure.
And
Because
this.
there was another Star Trek film that was almost R-rated.
Okay, that's interesting.
Hmm.
Hmm. And this was it's interesting for me. This almost felt like a non-news topic. And then you had the idea. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. And then I was keeping track of the people on Facebook and who was commenting, and this got a lot of people commenting. And I was like, oh,
Hmm.
I guess people really
Hmm.
do care about it, because some things I'm just like, yeah, and this is like people care. So I want to know what the chat thinks, and please do let me know, as we can have a nice interactive conversation. Of course, super chats are a great way of telling us what you think. They help. Well, they do support the channel 50% pretty much at this point, and so we do these lives to have a wonderful conversation and have you amazing people to help sort
Hmm.
of generate the content with us. Yeah. We'll have to read your
Yeah.
comment. So you kind of control. So if you want to swear, if you want to make this episode X or R rated, you have that power. Oh dear.
Yeah, you can make us swear by reading your super chats, I guess. Don't be. We might have to bleep some things out, but we'll see.
Yes.
Speaking of, Joseph Petrick puts in €2.
Joseph Patrick.
Hello, Joseph. Inglorious Trekyards going to kill Bill Shatner. Aha! I see what you did there. That's funny. Inglorious Bastards and Kill Bill. That's really good.
Yes.
I wouldn't kill Bill Shatner. I like the guy too much.
Yeah.
Despite what people think, even though I complain about him sometimes, I still like the guy.
Well, I mean, I've met him 3 times, and we
Hmm.
met him at I met him Destination, and he's known for, he signs hundreds of millions of autographs if you break it down,
Hmm.
and I was not expecting him to sign anything personalized. Why would he? But he did actually sign a thing for you and for me personalized, and that instantly gave me a sense of, wow, he's,
Hmm.
you don't need to. A lot of actors just don't, you know.
Hmm.
And that was all I needed to be like, oh, cool, you know. I made a good little
Yeah.
talk, and yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I've met him twice, and each time has been very nice. So, but off topic. Are you going to share this around, my friend?
Yes, that's what we're sort of tangented out of that already. So yes, and talk to me.
All right. Well, Gareth Fairclough puts in £2. Hello, bleep. Hello, bloop. Blop. There's a bloop. That's a bloop. That's a bloop. So hello, bleep, and hello, bloop. Smiley face. Yeah. See?
Although,
I
has
can
anyone
make us
actually
swear.
noticed that we don't swear in these lives? We don't. We
I
swear.
do.
We don't swear in any videos. That's a conscious thing, and sometimes I edit them out if we whatever. And we try not to swear in lives, though. It's not as. But for the most part, we try and keep the channel
Yeah.
PG. And I don't
There's the
really.
odd time I accidentally swear, or because it's
Yeah,
just part of my normal speech patterns.
yeah.
And
And I just
but
don't swear much in general. I mean, there's
yeah,
expletives for a reason. But again, I don't count shit a swear word. Some things that are the bottom barrel. There's like, is damn a
yeah.
swear word? I mean, I still,
No.
so it's like, well, crap. It's like, well, I mean, no, yes, no, sorry.
Yes. But yeah, guys, as he mentioned earlier, super chats are great. They good way to get your voice heard. You get a comment read, and you can make this R-rated. within reason, by doing that. Or you can have your question answered, whatever. It shows up in a separate chat window for us, so it's a lot easier to keep track of the super chats, first of all. Secondly, it also helps support the channel, which is awesome. There is the main chat, of course, and the moderators are in there. If there's anything important going on, they will let us know. Another way you can support is by using PayPal. All the information is down below. We obviously get more of a PayPal donation than YouTube Super Chat, because Super Chat takes 30% right off the top. And, PayPal doesn't. So if you PayPal and you put it in the chat that you sent to PayPal, we will check it, read your comment. And if we don't see it in the main chat, because there's a lot going on in there, one of the moderators will see it, I'm sure, and let us know so we can know to read it. So, but yeah, going back to what I said earlier about another Star Trek movie almost being R-rated, a few people in the chat already got it. That was Star Trek 6. It was almost R-rated because of the blood, all the floating blood that was floating in the Klingon ship. And to get around it, they made it pink instead of red, so it didn't look like real blood. And that's why it got a PG-13 rating instead. So, I mean, considering that Star Trek 6 was almost R-rated because of that, is an R rating a big deal, I guess, is the discussion we're going to have. But I know Quentin Tarantino's style, and a little bit concerned about it. I like Quentin Tarantino. I love Star Trek. Putting the two together...
Do you, Stuart? Really?
I think I might. I'm just kind of hesitant as to how that'll turn out, mixing the two of those together. I know he's a huge Star Trek fan, so... I don't know. It's just something I'm leery of.
Yeah, and when I did a media course at university, we talked about the British Film Board and how even in a PG you can have one, or it's a 12, I think you have one, or 15. One of those you can say fuck once, and you can say shit twice. Like, it's very specific. There are very, whereas if you show just this much boob or this much blood, you can still have one fuck. Or 10 fucks, and the very distinct lines in the sound. And so X-rated is, it's not necessarily about the swearing. It's about maybe some of the context and the freedom to do what you need to do. But we'll talk about that in a minute for sure. I'm just gonna Google his repertoire for a second so we can talk about maybe some of his past work and what that might be an indication of.
And people are saying that if it's just swear words, even if it's an alien language swear word, is it really a swear word? I mean, and Klingon movie, if it's a Klingon war movie, the gore kind of fits. And that was something that somebody commented on earlier, that if it was a ground assault, like the siege of whatever the hell episode that was of Deep Space Nine, the siege of whatever, I can't remember the number. It's more fitting there. It's more suitable there because people are under stress. They're having a lot of stress put on them, and that'll do that to people. But it doesn't really fit the whole Star Trek paradigm as far as the upper class, the upper crust of the Starfleet elite as captains and first officers and stuff. It doesn't really suit. Even Tilly's little swear word didn't bother me. I mean, it suited her character. She's just socially awkward, and it's something she was excited. She said it without really thinking. So yeah, there's that. Now Vance, 1982 puts in $5.
Thank you.
Keep in mind, some episodes of Discovery did get an M rating, which is the TV equivalent of an R rating. Yeah, a little bit different, but not too much. And it was just because of the swearing. I think the one because of the Klingon boob scene as well.
Oh, certainly, yeah. Well, yeah, nipples as well, like went full on.
Yeah, so...
it's really interesting. I'm looking at his directorial, and pretty much his entire repertoire is uber famous. Like pretty much everything is just, Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Kill Bills, Sin City, Inglourious Bastards, Django Unchained, Hateful Eight. It's like, these are all... That's over half of his IMDb directorial, and they're all, massive hits. I mean, that's, a sign of... It's like James Cameron, his repertoire is success, 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 lesser success. You know, some people that can just do it, although obviously all very specific. But you can imagine that he's not the sort of man to not just pitch because. I'm sure he has a very specific story, very specific idea, and he pitched them, and you know, and then therefore you can imagine it would work better because of that. A lot of the time you farm out. We've got this story for Star Trek 4, as in a generic one. What director can we just find that'll do it? What writers can we do it? You know, it's not. This is presumably sort of the love child, his love of Star Trek, and his want of a story that he's had for maybe decades. Who knows?
Yeah, the thing is, he's got a very distinct style of storytelling, and even like you can tell that his directorial flair is very, very unique. But even stuff that he was involved with but didn't direct, like From Dusk Till Dawn, he was in it. He wrote it. He didn't direct that one though. But it's got a very unique feeling, and I'm just wondering how well that's going to transfer over to Star Trek. Like I said, I like both Tarantino and Trek, and I just don't know how well they're going to mix. I wouldn't mind seeing some more grittier action. Seeing a phaser cut off a limb at a beam setting or something like that would be kind of cool. But it wouldn't really be bloody because it would cauterize it at the same time, right?
Well,
I mean, that's the logic.
Although you just turn that setting off, and then you know, it's the pain setting. But if you think about Pulp Fiction and Django Unchained, those are story first, and Kill Bill is you know, narrative thread, but mostly action with, you know. But those two films specifically are stylized, but it's story, and like Pulp Fiction, a lot of it's just talking in a room. So it's very specific. So I'm you know, I wouldn't necessarily think of him as an action director per se. I would associate him more with interesting narrative devices, but with the ability to take a story in an R-rated wherever it needs to go. So if, you know, you need to have Samuel L. Jackson being incredibly racist to black people in it while shooting women's heads off while, you know, cutting people's bones apart, but hey, it tells the time and tells the story. It's what's that? Logan. I mean, Logan's a good example of an XM rated. We just call it 18 here. There's no R rated, so it's not English language for us. But you know, it was just they could then push the things into a naturally graphic place. If a man stabs you with bone claws, it should look very graphic. The fact that it looks so, the fact that, you know, in like X-Men Wolverines, how the original Deadpool can, you know, slice people and there's no blood on the sword ever. Like, that's pathetic. You know what I mean? It's dumb. It doesn't make any sense. It's not realistic. But you move on. So just the MR raters lets you do the natural feel, but you know, Logan didn't glorify violence, but it allowed you to reach a natural sort of almost climax of violence. You see it as it is, and you're allowed to understand it more, I guess, and feel it more. But it's not in a good way. Does that make sense? Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd say it makes sense. And you never know. You know, the blades that cut through people and don't get blood on them, they could just be super Teflon coated, just non-stick. It just glides right off.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Lizzie Smith puts in £9.99.
Wow, thank you, Lizzie. Very kind.
Patrick swears in French. Personally, I think pretty much anything can exist in the Star Trek universe, but it would be odd having a Starfleet crew effing and jeffing. The style would make it odd, though. Yeah, I mean, make up a new word. Make up a new swear word for the future. Like, you'd think there'd be a new one, an alien one, like as we talked about, like an Andorian one that everybody uses. Or like Transformers, where they use, like in Beast Wars, where they use slagging. Or, you know, BSG, fracking, you know.
Or Smeg in Red Dwarf.
Yeah, you get the gist of what the hell's going on without actually really offending anybody. And everybody uses fracking all the time.
Yeah.
And I use slag a lot because I'm a Transformers fan, so.
Well, it's one reason I didn't like, not only for its silly place, but whatever. The Discovery swear word is just there for no real reason. Doesn't add anything. It's like, oh, that was your choice. Guess you're trying to be gritty.
Yeah, it felt a little forced almost, like they were trying to be edgy,
Yeah.
and that's the way they chose to do it. It felt natural enough for me coming from Tilly, but I didn't really have an issue with it. A lot of people did though.
Sort of an editing room floor thing. But you gotta ask the double question though, especially with all these legal, which universe could be what with where with who and what limitations. I can imagine he wouldn't necessarily. While you can be a Trek fan, why would you necessarily want to limit yourself with all the stories? It would make it. I thought it would assume it more sense for Tarantino to say, "Hey, I want to either take place in the mirror universe, so I can just be graphic and horrible, so it's canon mirror, or just another universe. It's the Tarantino verse. I want to do one film, Paramount. It'll be, you can tell it's Star Trek, but it's going to be my Star Trek, and obviously you take it with a pinch of salt that it's not canon, it's not Prime, it's not anything, but it's like, you go watch this, just like there's the Batman, there's the ninja Batman costume, and there's it's an anime where he's a ninja. It's like, that's not like original universe Prime canon Batman. He was never in that samurai, like he's never Japanese, but that's like a cool take. So having an alternate cool take where maybe he takes, I don't know what he would take, but or even just the future or the past, whatever, and it's just Star Trek in sort of name only, because then you're doing everything original, but then the com badge, the base ship designs, because that can pretty much stay very similar, modernized, stylized. But I would assume he'd still keep a core message, because if Federation ideals but are being tested, that's always a good basic idea with a good moral message at the end. I think that's a much safer bet than giving him the reins of a bit of canon in either of the three verses, the Discovery variant of the Prime timeline, the Prime timeline itself, or the JJ verse, because then the swearing won't necessarily fit in context. But if you're just enjoying this sort of spin-off like that it's just fun. What do you think?
Yeah, I do like the idea of an alternate universe, especially the mirror universe. I think would be really good. It would really suit that universe. So if that was the focus of the film, and our heroes from the Prime universe don't swear, but the mirror universe counterparts do, hey, I'd be all on board for that. That actually makes perfect sense. Or to have it's compartmentalized as its own thing, its own Tarantino verse, as you said. But I hate splitting up and doing the Tarantino verse and the JJ verse and the Discovery verse, and it's just everything's getting like so far away from what it should be.
But at least it doesn't hurt the previous stuff like Discovery has.
True,
doesn't actively,
that's why I call it Discovery verse.
Yeah. It's just the most polite and respectful thing to do,
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I do like the idea of the alternate universe idea or the mirror universe. I think that would work very well with that style. Now, somebody had mentioned earlier too in one of the comments about don't want to see his visual style, like the 1960s kind of look, for whatever. And I'm like, why not? That's TOS was 1960s, man. I mean, bring that back, but in the Tarantino style to look like TOS. I don't think there's a problem with that at all. Whether it's the hairstyles or the uniforms, I think it would be fine, because I think a lot of TOS fans especially, that's one of the things we're looking for, is something that ties it more with the original 1960s look. Like, I love the old uniforms. I love the mini skirts. I love the beehives, that kind of style, because style is secular. It comes back around, So who knows, in like TOS time, we're back to the 60s style. It could be a thing.
That's a double-edged sword. I kind of love the idea of him literally doing a vintage piece where he rebuilds the TOS sets, and he, like I've been wanting to do on those sets, film a ultra modern film, like filmic version, but all the classic stuff, and then it would be a period piece, and he could have a really old style. That would be, even to the point of having the exact length, whatever, like the most accurate visual TOS, just the most modern filmic style, like pushed to the absolute modern, would be fascinating as anything. Obviously, as we've said before, you just swap out the monitors for monitors and the buttons for buttons, and more LEDs, and you've got it. There you go. There's modernized. Wouldn't take much. But I think that's another TOS. You know what I mean? What a waste of a potential. You know, it's like, because you couldn't do Kirk McCoy, it'd be even more wasted. It's like, no. So just set it. I mean, all you have to do is set it in Dominion War, and tell one war story. You know, the most graphic battle of the Dominion War ever. There you go. You know. I mean, it depends what sort of Star Trek fan he is. Seriously, because we obviously said that who are the writers? Alex Kurtzman and of the 09.
Oh, Bob Orsi.
Yeah, there were Star Trek fans and TOS fans, and they made 09. But then Simon Pegg's a Star Trek fan, and he made Beyond. So different Star Trek fans pull different things and like different things, and clearly have different levels of quality. Same with Justin Ling, Star Trek fan, made a Star Trek movie. The other three didn't make a Star Trek movie. You know what I mean? So what sort of Star Trek fan is this man? I don't know. You know?
Yeah. Well, like you said, that could mean anything. So, Kralum1 puts in £1 with no comment, but thank you very much. And Gareth Fairclough puts in £10. Thank you.
Thank you.
What would you say to a character who has a reputation in universe for cursing, but in the show is actively trying not to curse, always nearly but not quite, just catching themselves every time? I would be totally down for that. Cursing is based on upbringing. It's based on different factors. It's not something that would be phased out in the future, I don't think, at all. So if somebody's a little bit gruffer, if you will, I can totally see that being a thing where they just catch themselves, or they substitute words for the swear words like we talked about. I would be totally down for that, and it would be realistic, because really everybody under certain situations or whatever is going to swear.
Except my mum. Doesn't drink, doesn't swear, literally none.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Completely devoid. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. You never know. There might be an instance where she might. Who knows?
She hasn't found it yet in over 50 years. Or at least
what if you got
like 30.
What if you got hit by a bus in front of her? Like, would she be like, ah, and swear then, or?
I think she'd just cry. I mean, anyway.
Well, we're talking gruesome. This is Quentin Tarantino now.
Yeah,
that's why I had to throw in the bus thing.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean anything bad by it.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, I can just see it being a lot more gruesome deaths, more realistic, especially if there's a battle and the ship's blowing apart. Seeing like somebody standing there and all of a sudden get impaled and be like, I think it's sucked out. Lots of cool stuff like that, which adds realism and is not too far away from what we already see. We do see people getting sucked out of explosions all the time. We see the same Klingon get sucked out of a couple different explosions. You know the one I'm talking about too. So adding some realism that way and kind of a grittier, more realistic look works for me and would be totally fine with our rating. Same with Star Trek 6. I hate that they changed the blood to pink. That's just stupid, because every other time it's G. Can you still hear me?
Now I can.
Because you froze there for a second. I wasn't sure if I froze. Oh, okay. What was the last thing you heard?
Hate the pink.
Hate the pink blood. Because every other time we've seen Klingon blood in TNG and stuff, it's always been red. So I love what Discovery did with the one fight scene. There was pink blood from one Klingon and red from another.
I bet that wasn't intentional. I feel like that, at least it wasn't a directorial intention. It was probably a VFX guy that actually gave a shit. But
probably.
You know,
but it was a nice touch. It's different Klingon blood type. Sure, whatever.
Yeah, why not?
There's just a lot of them on that ship for some reason.
Yeah.
But I think that was
it's just as weird as
decision.
It's just as weird as we've never seen smoothheads in Discovery, because they're there. Yeah. That's just as weird, Yeah.
And even the consistency of the blood, it was a lot thicker. Like it didn't look like blood, not just the color, but just the consistency of it. Again, I think Star Trek 6, going back and remastering it and having it blood and being R-rated would be fine. That's an R rating on a Star Trek film. It almost had it, and they had to change it last minute to kind of deke around it.
The thing about the sense of the graphic violence is that has no place in the prime TOS to post TNG. It doesn't need to be in there. It's a better world. It's a more sterile world, but it's fine. It's better than that. You don't need it. You know, you can have repercussions. You can have people blowing up, but it's not in the same sort of graphic way. So I'm wondering more if all his movies is just a normal story with the people's guts coming out, it's like that doesn't really, that should service the plot in some way. So if the plot itself gets really drastic, like there's a bounty hunter and he blows up the ship single-handedly and he's murdering people, and that's specifically to show a point of the gruesomeness of this character. There's a now character we've never seen in the world that's so just aggressively deadly, unlike anyone else, that like with this new context into this standard Federation ideal is the graphic bit that he wants to, he's ripping people apart because he's so strong, and he's phasing people's heads off because he's insane, and there's reasons for that, it's a story thing, a specific story thing that would lend itself well to that, or does he just want the creative freedom to do whatever he wants, in the sense of he can take it that one step further, just one, Because the amount of times I'm sure producers were like, oh, can't do this, oh, can't do that. But I mean, if they're getting Tarantino, you're getting him. You're not going to put a leash on him. You either get him or you don't.
Well, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Well, which makes me wonder though, like episode like Conspiracy, where a dude gets blown up, his head gets phasered and blown up, and then there's a huge gaping. Like, how was that not? How did that make it on TV at the time? If that's what they're considering gruesome for the sake of an R rating. Somebody had mentioned that they like the pink blood because it sets them apart from Vulcan's green, David Chilson, and Humans red. The problem is we saw TNG Klingon blood before, which was red before Star Trek 6, and after even. I don't know. I mean, if they had kept it consistent, sure, but the only reason they did the pink was to get around the R rating. So, Joseph Petrick puts in €2. Tarantino directed a CSI episode, and it was great. Did not know that. Did not see it.
2 episodes, actually. It was Gravedigger Part 1 and Part 2 in 2005.
For which CSI? The first CSI?
CSI Crime Scene Investigation, the first one.
Okay.
I guess. 2015.
Cool. Jeff Jacobs puts in $3. 50 likes. Sweet. Yeah. Again at 100. Hashtag Tarantino like spike. Hashtag Tarantino bloody like spike. Dun dun.
It's all about the like spikes, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah. Ed Brown says, how about an R-rated version of Star Trek Renegades? The chest explosion scene from Conspiracy was cut on air in my country. Oh, really? Did not know that. What is your country? Tez on Gary.
It makes me think of another movie series, the Deadpool series, where it's just a means to a sort of a nothing's off limits feel,
Yeah.
It's not, they're not
going out of their way to make it R-rated. It's just
we have certain jokes involve a penis or involve shooting through a hand, and it's a fun scene. You can shoot back through a hand. I mean, stuff that is just they're all interesting ideas. It's like I wouldn't expect to see like tits in the film unless part of it is going into a Orion brothel to get information, and then you just walking through and everyone's nude, but you just walk through and they're out of focus, and it's just like this is. I mean, I can see it. I mean, I could see that being a thing, but it's not focused on. But it allows them to have this weird graphic, but it's just in a very specific context. Because that would be a very unique show of them. I mean, but then I think you should be, both have green dong as well. I mean, very, 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 very tall, giant Orion strippers and very, very, whatever women strippers.
I like that idea, and I'd be down for that because I'm me. But a lot of people are like, the complaint is they want to take their kids to see Star Trek. They remember when they were kids and watched Star Trek with their parents. They want to have the same experience with their kids. But I feel like times have changed a bit, and there's a lot of things now are a lot more acceptable than they used to be. A lot of things are anyway. And I understand the argument of wanting to keep it family friendly and be able to take your kids or have your kids enjoy Star Trek with you. I get that. But at the same time, the Star Trek fans that they might be appealing to might be the older ones that have grown, and they want more maturity. They want more graphic nature stuff.
Guess who's paying for everything? It's the 50-year-olds and the 40-year-olds and the 30-year-olds. The fans have been fans for decades. That's who's buying everything. 20-year-olds don't have the expendable income to buy, $28, collectibles and $50, $100, $200, And talk about being inappropriate for kids. If I had a son that was like 7, I wouldn't show him Into Darkness. There's a terrorist attack at the start, and Spock beats up a guy to a pulp for no real, for a stupid reason. That film's way too violent. I wouldn't be comfortable.
I would show my kids that though.
Why?
Because why would I shield them from something like that? It's what happens in the world.
But then take them to Pulp Fiction. But that's obviously you specifically. But I'm saying to follow on with the argument that Star Trek's for all ages. But it's like, but I wouldn't want to show him that episode. I mean, Discovery I think is a little bit almost too violent sometimes, in the sense that it is too dark and depressing and sad. It's like it's not not appropriate for kids. Discovery's not a kids show. 09 isn't violent enough for 4-year-olds. I mean. Star Trek isn't a kids show. TOS is a good all ages sort of thing, but the young'uns won't get it. The middle-uns will enjoy it, and the old-uns will get the full benefit. So it's relative. But you wouldn't expect a Tarantino. You wouldn't. The young kids don't care who he is.
No.
And young people don't necessarily want to watch Star Trek per se. The youngest of people, but as soon as they're older, they can enjoy it all the more. It's like Deadpool. You limit a massive sway of the fans from young kids going to see it. But guess what? When they're old enough, they're going to watch it and be like, "Damn, this is a good movie," and it didn't. And it wasn't, sacrificing its quality. Yeah.
Jill47 puts in $2 and says a Jill by any other name is awesome. So that would be Jill Wright. Welcome, Jill. I'm glad you can super chat again. I don't know. That's why you created a new account, but. Thank you very much. Welcome back.
Jills are awesome.
Clivoid puts in $5.
Thank you.
Would Gene have gone R if he could? He liked to push boundaries. He did like to push boundaries quite a bit. And that's a very interesting question. If in the 60s that was something that would have got him on network television, would it something he would have done? It's a good question. And there's no real answer, unfortunately, I don't think.
What do you think, though?
No, because his overarching philosophy for Star Trek is that humans have evolved to the point of not, needing to be violent and not. So I would say no, would be my gut feeling. Even though he was, some of the episodes he was involved with and wrote were very risque in a lot of areas. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say, but I would say no.
I think that Gene would not be in the swearing mindset, but I think if Angel 1, that everyone's basically nude, in terms of basically no clothing, I think if he could have made everyone topless, it would have been another expression of the society. And in Conspiracy, if he could have actually, if the VFX was enough to see the worms like burrow into your skin graphically, he would show it because it emphasizes the darkness of what's happening. So I think in very specific impactive contexts, yes, but I don't think he would do swearing for the sake of it, tits for the sake of it, killing for the sake of it. But if it's needed to sell a point, and he had the option, he had the ability to go to the nth degree, I don't see why he wouldn't. Because, like you say, if he can do the first interracial kiss, which was at the time way worse than a gun, a tit is today, or a shooting someone in the head is today. I mean, that was absolutely ridiculous. Whoa, my goodness. So and he did it.
If it serves the story, is what you're saying. As long as it's not
everything.
As long as it's not there. Exactly. As long as it's not there just for the sake of it being there, to be new and to be edgy. If it's story based, it's fine.
Did you see Game of Thrones? I can't remember.
No.
Yeah. So season 1 is very, one of the characters literally owns a brothel, and that's why we spend some time in a brothel. But the nudity and the violence are such that it sets the tone of the world surprisingly well. And it's also, you're not used to seeing that on TV, so it's kind of like, wow, we're in a different world. But it's like, yeah, these are base instincts where you kill and you do things, and it's like, just the fact that they are not, just like if someone's gay in the future, that's not even a thing to be called a thing. You just are. Everyone's so, if you're in a brothel, you'd see boobs. There isn't any more to that story. So the fact that a show can show that without making a thing of it is an interesting contextual setup. There's a video game, Cyberpunk 2077, I think is the year, and that looks really interesting. Not only because it's by a studio which has made very in-depth, high-end games, and everyone trusts them, but it's been developed for like 6 years, and what we're seeing so far is very good. And I'm not really a gamer anymore since I'm too busy, but I will actively take time off work, sorry Stuart, to play that when it comes out, because I'm like, this is a very interesting world, to the point that you can pick all a lot of games, you can customize what you wear, what you use, but everything you wear changes. It's all armor. It all changes how you work in different social circles. If you wear a badge of a group, you can get in some areas. It's all very interconnected. And in the first trailer or the first gameplay, one way for your character to regain health is to go out to either a bar or get a prostitute. And that's just a thing, because that just works. That in this sort of context, it can work.
Same with the God of War games. I mean, there's certain scenes in there where it's kind of off camera, but you know what's going on. So yeah.
And in the trailer, it was actually censored in most versions, but in one level, you find a rich girl who's gone to like a dark place of drugs, and she's naked in a tub, OD'd, and she's actually naked, and you actually see everything. And when you watch it, like, oh shit. You really, she's now been reduced to nothing in the context of the tale. It really is impactful. And it's a story point. It's a very specific narrative thing, So these things can have a purpose if they have a really good purpose, Yeah.
Well, Jeff Jacobs puts in $5. Tarantino is one of the best filmmakers of all time. I am very excited to see his interpretation of Trek. I believe he has said he is a fan. Yes, he has, specifically of TOS. However, as we talked about, Alex Kurtzman and Robert Orsi have said the same thing, and they made 2009. So it depends on what kind of fan you are. I mean, you can say you're a fan, and we see it all the time, like with the who's your favorite, female Star Trek character? People try to spell Uhura, and they can't spell it. But yet they answered the other question saying they're a huge Star Trek fan, huge TOS fan. How can you be that big of a fan and not know how to spell a major character's name? It's just things like that. It's like you're a fan, you know the episodes, like what happens in them, but you don't know the minutia of it, or there's different level of fandom.
Well, and also there's a lot of these actors who I think at this point are contractually obligated to say they're fans of Star Trek to then be more appreciated, especially in Discovery. And then you question them, how many episodes have you seen? Like 4 of the original series. It's like, oh, so you're a Star Trek fan, you say, but you've seen. It's like, no, you've had 20, 30, 40 years to watch these shows, and you've never thought, oh, I like Star Trek, I'll watch TOS. Really? You know what I mean? There's how can you not be a Star? I mean, that's a weird sort of criteria, but that's the most basic one. Having seen TOS, I will call him out because it seems well, I don't know, was. Yeah, it was Shazad Latif. He enjoyed Star Trek, fair enough, and he hasn't seen Troubles with Tribbles. They asked him a question, and the guy called out as being the most famous episode of TOS in his context, and it's like, oh, well, I mean, you could watch it any day on Netflix, and really, I think CBS would send you a Blu-ray. It's a good Klingon episode. Why don't you watch every Klingon episode TOS as research? It's only 7 hours of TV. I mean, it's not like it's much. And then,
Well, it's like those people that get hired for a role, like let's say Spock, and they deliberately don't go watch all the Spock centric episodes beforehand because they want to do their own interpretation of it. it's like, okay, I kind of respect that in a way. You don't want to get influenced in your performance, but at the same time, you should at least be knowledgeable about what the hell is going on. That's what I love. One thing I love about Quentin Tarantino, or not Quentin Tarantino, Zachary Quinto, the Quinto. See, that screwed me up. Is that he spent time with Leonard Nimoy, um, asking him about Spock. What would Spock do in certain situations? You know, they spend a lot of quality time together before he did that interpretation of Spock. It still had his own spin on it, but he also knew what the guy that created the character, how he treated the character and how he would looked at things.
Yeah, but then the writing betrayed all of that, so it didn't really amount to much, did it? Always gone.
The fact that he spent time with Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah. Sorry, you cut out there. But I said, but the writing betrayed all that. It was too emotional, didn't have the nuance, and it's not like it did Spock well, given the writing. Acting wise, yeah, but the writing wise, no.
Actor took the time. At least the actor took the time to actually sit down with Leonard Nimoy and kind of get a feel for the character, from the man himself that created the character.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give him credit for that. So I don't. It's the people that say, "Oh, I'm not going to watch the previous. I'm going to do my own spin on it."
I mean, okay. Do you actually mean Ethan Peck? I mean, who you're referring to?
Yeah, Ethan Peck.
Well, no. In the panel, he said he watched. I think it was like the main 8 Spock episodes, and he watched. I'd heard 3. He's in all the TOS movies. He said. Anson said 4 was his favorite, and Ethan said First Contact was his favorite movie because that was the first one he watched. It was the first one he watched in the cinema. But he likes them all. Yeah.
I'd heard early on season 2 that he was deliberately not rewatching things to kind of get his own take on things.
Well, that was after the initial binge. Yeah, he watched all the stuff first, and then he started finding his own voice.
Auditioned. Okay.
Yeah. So no, he did. He did the research. He also met with Adam Nimoy's family. He met with all of the children. I had a lunch with them all. Actually.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, actually outside. It just happened to be outside of his old high school. They picked the place and didn't know he went to high school, literally down the street. And they spent a few hours together.
Awesome.
Yeah. And he tried. He said he never actually managed to get in contact with Quinto, even though they have 3 mutual friends, and all 3 try to get them interacting. But because Peck only knew he was being Spock 2 months before he was being Spock, he only 2 months of research, and he kept trying to get in contact with, and this is like I said just from the panel that's last weekend, and they left messages for each other, but they could never actually get on a live phone call until after the performance was done, because they weren't even allowed to take phones on set at all on Discovery. So like if you're doing a working day, I mean you are outside of the world, only in a hotel room, and if you're working all these hours, how much time do you want to go on Facebook and stuff? And then after they actually bumped into each other at an awards show, and they finally had their first meeting, and they talked about it briefly, but at that point he already done his performance, so it was a bit redundant. But he says he wants to have like a sit down later on when they're more free and like just talk about the character, because they're the only living actors that have played to that extent anyway. But
yeah, but I mean it goes back to Tarantino being a fan. What kind of fan? Because there are different levels of fandom. Some people say they're a fan of a show, and they know basically what happens in each episode, but they don't know, for example, how a character's name is spelled because they never had to, write it. I guess I don't know. It's just it strikes me as odd that you wouldn't know that kind of thing, But that's just me.
Well, that's the difference between. Some people that I met actually at FedCon who were fans of Trekyards, they said, I'm not a Trekkie, but I'm a fan of Star Trek. There's a different level. We're clearly Trekkies that are uber passionate and do obviously, but if you just enjoy the content as content at a surface level, how many shows do you enjoy that you're not a Galacticard, you're not a Firefly brown coat, you're not a part of the fandom, but you enjoy the content a lot. Of Star Wars, I guess you would consider yourself a Star Wars like fanatic as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what Transformers as well, but like what are the more contemporary ones of the last 10 years? Would you say you're obviously not the same as Star Trek, but that you would consider yourself as a Trekkie is to Star Trek, but not just a fan, but an actual fanatic of the material, and would do a convention, would do this and this? Like, what shows have actually captured you in that way?
there's a few that I know I want to watch, like about the new BSG. I'm a fan of the old Battlestar Galactica. I can tell you almost all about that. Some of the characters' names might slip my mind, so I see what you're saying. But that's because I watched it so long ago and I haven't really brushed up on it. Something like that. But it's a good question. I can't think of anything contemporary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But that's why
I usually know pretty much everything. If I'm invested in it, I'm invested in it. That's why I don't half-ass watch something. And that's why I haven't watched a lot of things, because I need to sit down and actually watch something.
yeah.
Instead of just having it on in the background. I can have Star Trek now while I'm doing other things because I've seen them so often.
Yeah.
But
you know what I mean?
I just get more involved than I think a lot of people do for entertainment.
Yeah, or if it grabs you. But at the end of the day, Trek grabbed us, Stargate grabbed me as well. So, lots of people, it doesn't just grab you in the same way. And if you just like it, but don't love it in the same way. I mean, like I say, how many shows do you enjoy? Like you enjoy Babylon 5, but you wouldn't necessarily go to Babylon 5 event to meet them. You wouldn't necessarily, you know what I mean?
But that's a good example, actually, yeah.
Yeah, you appreciate it. You'd say, oh, it's great. But then your appreciation ends when you stop thinking about it, And so, I know Ethan Peck, he loves audiobooks. Like, he loves audiobooks. He loves reading. Yeah. But he just enjoys Star Trek. Yeah.
Just one second. Let's stop waiting for a second.
Okie doke. Guys, it's me now. Moo-ha-ha. So if anyone wants to talk to me, I'm here now until the one, the only, the Captain Foley comes back. Then talk to me. Have I got the live actually up? Yes, I do. Hello.
Hello.
No, ask me a question. I thought you said you were going to be late today.
I was, but I got home 10 minutes before we needed to start.
Perfect.
I said I might be late. I didn't say I would be late.
Yeah.
Clivoid puts in $5. Star Trek is strong enough that it could literally have different actors in each movie, and I'd still watch. Why not try R-rated? I agree. I don't have a problem with R-rated idea. If you don't want your kids to see it, just wait until they're older. There's plenty of other Trek out there. Plus, they're making the Nickelodeon. They're making Lower Decks. They're doing a whole bunch of other stuff that you can get the kids involved in Star Trek. And then once they reach different stages of their life, they can enjoy new Trek.
And that's so interesting that you've actually brought that up, because I don't think... I wouldn't want a Nickelodeon Trek show to actually be for kids. Like, there should be no Trek kids show where it's all cute and stupid, dumbed down for kids. It's like just
Transformers Rescue Bots, where they're distorted and misshapen to look like preschool toys. Yeah, I think
sure.
It's stupid.
So in the context of, like, it doesn't need to be R-rated. It shouldn't be kids. Whereas TNG is kids friendly. Like Voyagers, they're all kid friendly. Any kids could watch them. It doesn't necessarily appeal to them in the same way. But so the Nickelodeon show, I hope it's just, or maybe a more a friendlier atmosphere, like an academy show, or a young ensign who's making friends on a big voyage. They haven't got a effing cute sidekick alien that's a parrot and it talks and it's like just to sell toys. Like Star Wars has got stupid in a lot of respects. I mean, I don't like the Ewoks particularly. Wookiees would have been better, hands down, narratively and thematically and whatever. But inventing new robots just to sell toys, it's like, use the characters then. Don't invent new ones just to sell merchandise, you idiots. The Porgs, they were fine until they went on the ship at the end. It's like, no, don't take them with you. They're fine as scenery. Don't make them characters. F off. There's dumb stuff just for kids. I mean, there's a reason Jar Jar is almost universally panned. He's for kids in a non-kids movie. It's like, it doesn't, poop jokes don't add anything. Just make a good story at a medium level. So almost both extremes. But that's why Disney films are so long-lasting, because they are kids' films, but there's, sex jokes in them. There's very adult themes. Yeah. They work on several levels. That's the best way of approaching these things. You make it, enjoyable for kids. good for medium and explicit for adult. Not explicit, but like there's things for everyone to enjoy. That's a well-made piece. Don't just make a kids show for the sake of it, because then you start diluting the brand like Star Wars has. Star Wars is a heavily diluted brand, you know, with so many weird choices and, you know. Yeah.
I don't. I agree it's diluted, but Star Wars is such an expansive universe that I think there's room for all the stuff they've done.
But that's the thing, you don't watch them. I mean, did you watch Resistance?
No, but I was just going to point out, Dan23 says there are a lot of people who love Big Bang Theory, but don't enjoy Young Sheldon or even watch it. And it's a good point. It's there if you want to supplement the viewing, and get more on a certain character. You don't have to watch it. No one's holding a gun to your head saying you got to watch everything Star Trek.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a
but
weird
it's
example.
there if you we're still finishing up Big Bang Theory, but I want to watch Young Sheldon. But if it's a different show style, different format, a lot of people don't really get into it, you know.
But that's an interesting example, because Young Sheldon, I think, is a better show than Big Bang Theory. Like early Big Bang Theory is very good, but on a certain point it's not. Young Sheldon is a radically different show. It's definitely not a kids show. It's actually very, I enjoy it. It's a way better character dynamic. The family's really strong. They clearly changed their direction in season 2 based on the cast being so strong. They had an idea in season 1. Season 2 is very different to season 1 because it's like a true ensemble piece. Like Sheldon is barely in some episodes because everyone else can do things, and it's all about a family drama with character piece stuff. It's really strong. I think the writing is very good, and I don't think it was a bad episode in season 2 at all. Whereas Big Bang Theory, you watch the last 3 seasons, and you're like, I mean, I watched this episode. Did I enjoy it? I mean, I didn't turn it off.
Yeah.
You know, it's just another chapter. But it's definitely not. It's not a kids show. Young Sheldon, certainly not. It's actually quite a smart show, I think, and well told, simple stories. But it's not a kids show.
Yeah, I think another great example is Transformers. There's a lot of Transformers. You know how much of a big Transformers fan I am.
Yeah.
There are some Transformers series I haven't watched because they're just shit. Like Cybertron. Like.
Well, how'd you know they're shit?
Armada, because I saw 1 or 2 episodes.
And what give us an example. Why was one shit for you? Like, is it because it was a kids show? Is it because the animation wasn't good? Like, give me an example, because
different animation styles, messing with established characters, changing, aspects of them, things like that. The animation style for animated shows is a big thing for me. Yeah. Even if it's like superbly written, if it's stupid, deformed animation, I hate it.
Well, then that's just a sign that, well, for you specifically, the choice, a very early choice in the show's journey, just was never gonna fly with you. Like Discovery changing the entire art design of an era in the Star Trek universe. It's like, it turns off over 50% of the fan base. We watch it 'cause it's Star Trek, but doesn't mean we're gonna, ever accept it for stupidity.
No, and it's just. Some of them are literally their translations or reworkings of Japanese shows that in the transfer over to English, they change certain aspects of it as well, which don't make any goddamn sense. Stupid things like that, where they're just cheaping out and literally getting a Japanese show and just changing it, bugs me as well. So little things like that, like stuff like Beast Wars, the CG animation doesn't really hold up. A lot of people complain about it. I think the CG animation is great. I love it.
It's fun,
but the storytelling in that is fantastically done. It's very well written. Same with Transformers Prime, and I love the animation style as well. But other ones just don't work for me. And it's all there if I want to watch it. I just choose not to watch some of it, and I think that's diluting a brand by having an R-rated movie that you can watch if you choose to. If you don't want to, you'll get the synopsis of what happens in it after the fact, after it's been out for a while anyway.
Two comments on that though. The Beast Wars, I think, isn't a kids show, so that goes to my point of it's not a kids show, it's just a show,
it's well written enough for sure.
And I didn't mean dilute in terms of things. I just meant dilute. Star Wars diluted because they've done bad shows, bad things, bad games, like the Kinect Star Wars dance game. That's a bad quality dilution of brand. If Tarantino's movie is good, like we said for Discovery season 2 was better than season 1, therefore we give it credit. You could say it's diluting the brand, but it's still a good, better show to watch. Like it's not. It only dilutes if it's bad. I would be fine to see. If CBS gave 10 filmmakers $1 million each and said, right, tell City on the Edge of Forever or Amok Time but in 10 radically different styles, pick 10 different Kirk actors you can be, black, white, girl, young, old, tell the same story in 10 ways, each will be canon in a separate universe. That doesn't dilute the brand if they're all good. If 3 of them are absolute dog shit, then that's diluting the brand for me, in the sense of you're now adding bad content to the brand. Not different. Different is not a problem if it's bad different.
Well, bad is subjective. Not everybody thinks the same thing as bad. A lot of people love the Transformers series I hate, and I just can't stand them. Literally watching a full episode.
I still think there are objective things where a plot hole's a plot hole. A bad line dialogue is a bad. You can still enjoy things, but you can still say they're quantifiably a lower quality piece of work.
Well, and it's like NCIS or Law and Order as well. There's a couple different NCIS shows. There's a couple different Law and Order shows that are spin-off series that you don't have to watch. They're there should you choose to, and I don't think that's a bad thing to have choices. Even if you don't watch it for 10 years after it's done its run, and you're like bored one day, throw it in and realize, wow, this kind of brings me back to the other one, and the little sharing of characters or crossovers is great.
Well, that's why it'll probably be the case that next year, assuming everything goes amazing, and we might have Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, all within like a 6-month period. Maybe even, I think they said always having something live, if not at the same time. And people can just say, I've got Picard, I don't need to watch Discovery Season 3. Like, I watched it because it was a new Trek, but I'm going to ignore it because I really don't care. I guarantee their viewership will take a small dive when there's another Trek to watch. So you can pick and choose, and having variety is interesting, and certainly the Lower Decks one sounds interesting, and the Rick and Morty thing, that's almost, the Rick and Morty thing is going to be M-rated, R-rated by this very context of it's them writing it. It'll push those boundaries. That's interesting, Yeah.
Paul Sherrard puts in $2 Canadian and says, "Happy Wednesday, everyone." Happy Wednesday. Jill 47 puts in $2. Says $2 for Samuel for praising young Sheldon. Yay! I'm sure I will love young Sheldon as well. I just have not started watching it yet.
Yeah, the writing is surprisingly good, and I'll say that you can tell that they were assuming they were going to have to use Sheldon as the main, but they really, the sisters are a very good cast. The dad's better than they thought. In the Big Bang Theory universe, he's meant to leave at some point, and it's not clear when. And you can tell that in season 1 he could have been a not the best guy. In season 2 he's a really good guy. But it's like arced into it. It's given they're like, oh shit, this works as a family. We're gonna push this off for a few more years because this is a good unit. And so it's become a really nice family drama that has some good, because they've got a season arc as well, and you can see a nice bit of growth. Same thing, a side character I think interesting in season 1. Didn't know where they're going to go with him clearly, and he's like a major part of season 2 throughout. It's like, this is a really nice arc. So yeah, it's a nice show actually. I quite enjoy it.
Yeah. Necroglobulus says, but R-rated Star Trek, it wouldn't even feel like Star Trek. Then again, Star Trek hasn't felt like Star Trek since DS9 went off the air. That being said, DS9 didn't feel like Star Trek to a lot of people. It was too dark. It was too different. So that argument's kind of, you shot yourself in the foot by saying Deep Space Nine in there. Yep. Because a lot of people still haven't even watched Deep Space Nine because they don't think they would enjoy it because it's just not what they're used to. And it's perfectly fine. It's my favorite Star Trek series. So, but that being said, I didn't watch Deep Space Nine for the longest time for that very reason, because the few episodes I did see over and over again were absolute shit ones. And so it really kind of soured the taste of it for me. But then Sylvia said, sit down and watch the whole series with me. And I did. And now it's my favorite. And it took me years to realize that. It took somebody saying, sit down and watch it with me, because I know you're going to like it, because I know what you like, to have me watch it. And there's a lot of things like that out there. And I think this will be the same kind of vibe. Yeah, you can't take your kids to it right away, but when they grow up, they'll have a new piece of Star Trek to enjoy, should they want to.
Well, and that's the joke. I mean, Wrath of Khan is also not appropriate for kids, really. You know, First
Yeah.
Contact isn't really either. But you're only a kid for however many years, and then after 18, you've got the rest of your life. Make stuff R-rated, make stuff deep and interesting and complex. The rest of your life, you're going to be able to watch it. You know, was it Red Letter Media? Someone recently was saying how they made a kids film for kids, and it was so base level that there's no layers. Whereas another movie, it's like whereas the not Peter Rabbit, the Who Framed Roger Rabbit is a kids movie, but it's massively layered. And you're a kid, you watch it for the graphics. Then you're older, you watch it for some other things, and you appreciate it after the fact. Whereas this other film has nothing else to offer you, so you watch it when you're a kid, then you watch it as an adult, and it's like, oh, all the problems are here. They were here the whole time. Whereas the other way around, I just think smart. Why would you write anything dumb? You know, why would you ever greenlight a script that's dumb? Always be smart. Always be interesting. Always be thought through. A plot hole shouldn't be able to get through. You know, you should be looking at a script and showing it to your family and your brother and a cousin you hate but has good creative thoughts. You know, these things are important. Or by the same token, you can get effing lucky. Nicholas Meyer can write Wrath of Khan. You know, can put together Wrath of Khan from seven scripts and make an amazing script. And can write Undiscovered Country in 6 weeks and it be some of the best dialogue in any Star Trek movie. I mean, the other is, you know, you never know until you get there. Like, again, how many people were dissing on Justin Lin for Star Trek Beyond, saying it would be Fast and Furious in space?
Yeah,
and it's not. It's great.
Well, the motorcycle scene is, but
again, it was set up and it was in there. I mean, it's
but really,
yeah.
Was he going full speed when they beamed him? Because he beamed in at full speed on the motorcycle.
Yeah, but they knew they knew it was a motorcycle, so they presumably lowered his momentum based on the transporter. I mean, if you can turn off guns, you can lower momentum, I'm sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, Beyond was good.
Yeah.
It wasn't when everybody anticipated it first, so yeah, I see what you're saying. And I do like the multi-layered approach, as you said. Like, there's a lot of things that are really well written, especially in kids' films like Toy Story and stuff, like little adult in-jokes that you only get when you're in that frame of mind or when you're older. But as a kid, you're like, I didn't get it. Yeah. And that's exactly what it should be. It should be enjoyable on multiple levels. Each time you view it, you should pick up something new.
Well, and it lets it have longer legs as well, because then you watch it when you're 12 and you see one thing, you watch it when you're 30. Wow, you loved it a fresh new way. You know, I mean, TOS is a good example because it's more cerebral than it could be. You know, I watched it as a kid, but then you know, I still loved them all for what they were. But you watch it now and it's like, ooh, these interesting political thoughts, and you know, it's like when I was a kid, the half black, half white didn't register me as a race thing. Why would it? It was a story. It was a science fiction story about an alien. Why would it be? You know, why would it? But now obviously it's got all this extra context because I'm older. I understand it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I've just run out of things to say. The guys chime in with something. A lot of people are saying that they. Where is it here? Where'd it go? Damn it. Viren Victus said, honestly, I want mature Trek. If that comes with swearing or darkness, all the better. But I also want hopeful Trek, so it can appeal to kids and bring TNG into the fold. Well, but at the same time, you had Voyager on the air, which was the optimistic exploration, something new every week kind of feel. It split the show literally in half and gave you 2 shows. You could choose to watch both, or you could choose to watch one or the other.
Yeah.
So yeah,
no,
I don't have a problem with Dark Trek at all.
And I think Trek's been mature from the start. I don't, you know, I mean TNG of season 1 TNG is a bit, you know, childish in some ways.
Yeah.
But that's because it was, I don't know. It's just, I think it just feels basic, you know. I think Star Trek's always been mature. I mean, you don't need to have tits in the show to be mature. You know, it doesn't. You know, I think TOS is very mature. TOS is almost too mature for the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, want to know what you guys think. Please super chat a question, a comment, a thought. We've got an extra sort of 45 minutes of time if you guys want to use it.
Yeah.
Another like $30, $40 would be perfect, guys. Just keep that in mind because we have a certain sort of target each live, and it's like we can eat for another week. Yes.
Yeah, we're fine with making it shorter too. It's just whatever. I just thought this was a good thing to talk about, given what's going on online right now, and I don't know how I feel about it. Like I said, I like both these things separate, Trek and Tarantino, but together, I'm not sure how it's going to work. Sure, you hear all this stuff like he's working on a script, he's a huge fan. Oh, the script's finished. It's got a lot of swearing and violence in it. It's like, okay, give us a taste of what that means. It's all very vague. I mean, if you're looking at his other work, there's some odd stuff out there. So whatever you're supposed to expect. Gorns that eat people, yeah, and Andy Lancaster. I'd be fine with that, actually. Instead of just bombing a station from orbit, actually beam down and start massacring people and like chewing on their gnarled remains when the rescue party beams in. I mean, that would be fine. And it's realism. It adds to the story. It makes the universe feel more real. And I can see why that would be R-rated. And it's fine.
Want to sidestep for 1 second or back. Dan23 said, "Why is there a motorbike on a starship?" I will counter with, "Why is there a black and white TV on Voyager?" Why did Paris replicate a black and white TV? Because he's a fan of that sort of thing. I mean, it's not really. There's no. Why does Picard have books? Vintage books. I mean,
or a fish.
I mean, because that person liked that thing. I'm guessing that he built the motorcycle out of parts. And that's his hobby. I mean,
yeah. Why does Tom have a '69 Camaro? Because he likes Camaros.
Yeah, it's not an issue.
Because he's got good taste.
Yes.
But yeah.
I mean,
if it was standard equipment on all of the Franklin class ships, to have a motor, it could be for scouting purposes. Well, I mean, you could always rationalize why, but I think it's just the captain's preference.
Yeah. Well, it's like, why is the Argo, the Enterprise Z? Why is there a buggy? Really? Buggy? Well, that's just as dumb, and because at least the Franklin is, right in the NX-01 turn of the century time where they're still much more close to their roots, whereas post TNG it's like, why would you have a buggy? There's really no reason to have a buggy specifically. But I want to jump back again for a second. Like, when I think Tarantino, I think Pulp Fiction especially, because that is just a gorgeously narratively constructed piece, which is just interesting, and it's narrative. And then yes, Samuel Jackson can shoot a guy in the back of the head accidentally, and that generates a story. And yes, you can have wasn't it Bruce Willis be almost anal sexed? That was a thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it's just like it's a thing. It's a beat. It's a interesting story. But I think Django Unchained, like I said, more that I enjoy from him is much more of a narrative. That's actually a much more linear movie. Much more so. Whereas I think like Kill Bill's 1, 2 are much more like torture porn in a sense. When I think of Kill Bill's, I just think of her killing people in set pieces with very little story. For me, that's what I think of. I haven't seen them in years, but they're just spectacle and style over narrative and.
Well, it's a very simple tale. It's a tale of revenge, and it's just the course she took to do that. And he likes the funky gore aspect to tell the story. So
that's why I prefer thinking of Pulp Fiction and Django Unchained, because they're real stories that have a real substance to them. And I haven't seen his Hateful Eight yet. Have you?
I haven't seen Hateful Eight or Django Unchained to Django.
Oh, it's good. It's long, but it's real good. Jamie Foxx is excellent in it.
And Jill47 puts in another $2. Thank you very much, Jill. I read R for Terror of Space Travel, not nudity. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Terror of Space Travel, the thing is that's a... If you're TOS, I mean, you've been in space for over 100 and something years. It's so day to day. It's like taking a train or a plane. yes, there are some people. Okay, there are some people afraid of planes, but you choose not to fly. If you're, saying the terror of spaceflight is like saying a air flight attendant will get scared of being on a plane. It's not the plane; it's what's happening. If a terrorist comes on a plane and takes you hostage, it's not the plane; it's the situation. So, the terror of being on Voyager isn't Voyager; it's an 8472 person crawling through the halls and killing people. So, it's space in the context of, I guess, an alien doing something, and I guess taking that to a graphic extreme. But space travel should be the most boring thing in the world. I mean, that's the joke I always make about Trek, is that as soon as they say engage, they just
sit there for 8 hours.
Sit there for 8 hours. I mean, it's just like done. I mean, it's just a straight line. There's nothing else to do. It's autopilot.
Yeah, we just saved the day. This planet's fine. All right, good. All right, it's course setting warp 3, and then it's like,
should we go for dinner? I guess. Just see you guys later. Bye.
So you lean over, talk to Will. So Will, how was your date last night?
Yeah.
It's like, what do you do? Seriously, there's a lot of boredom in space.
Especially for especially for commanding officers, because they got admin, but a scientist does science, an engineer fixes things when they're broken, but a leader, it's like, I've done the duty shift, I've done the reports, I got 6 hours of free time every effing day. I guess I'm just gonna hang out.
That's why Picard reads a lot.
That's why Paris builds Camaros, because flying from A to B doesn't take that much thought and effort if he's not doing his fancy flying.
Yeah.
Oh, Jill says, once the environment starts failing, that's terror. Well, that's the same thing with why is the bridge on the top? Yeah, without the shields, it's dumb, but you got the shields, and the shields, a ship might be in a battle one time a year, and normally with someone that you can either win or talk to or whatever. So it's like, yeah, I mean, if the awful things happen, it's like if the cabin door opens on a plane, well, yeah, it's equally bad. Not equally, but
that'd be a good discussion for live. Actually, what do people do on their even when they're on their shift? Picard probably goes to his ready room a lot. I think Riker would probably stroll the ship, to check out the department heads, talk to them, find out what's going on. I think the first officer's job would be a lot more difficult than the captain's on a day-to-day basis. So they got to handle all the department heads, and then the captain, he just reports to the captain. The captain's got to make the tough decisions in moments of crisis, so it balances out. But
I totally agree. Although I think Picard is the one that's going to get called randomly in the middle of the night, who has to make a decision right now. Like, his time is not his own, sort of thing. Whereas Riker's more on the clock for that. But yeah, I agree. I think a wonderful comment, if we're sort of starting to simmer down the conversation. Michael Elliott says, I need a Quentin Tarantino interpretation of Star Trek, simply because he is a legendary filmmaker who's intense about filming and might just tone down the violence and gore and surprise us all. What a tremendous summary.
Mm-hmm. Be right back.
Okay. Right, it's me again. Dan23 says, what is the most graphic thing in Star Trek? Also, I'll mention 7 being nude for a second. You've got the Star Trek 6 arm getting blown off, which is quite graphic. You've got, obviously, Gorkon flying and blood coming out. It's reasonably graphic. Very on T in a sense of screaming. Well, it's quick.
Something to do a lot of too. Holodeck Adventures of Captain Proton.
True. I'm pretty actually I think Robert Duncan McNeil's wearing that exact shirt last weekend.
Oh, really?
I think so. I mean, I've got a picture of him that we took. Let me see.
That was a pretty cool shirt.
Oh, it's close, but it's not the same. But it's a Captain Proton shirt. Here's his shirt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
See, I love that he wears that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of actors wouldn't care, but such a tie-in directly with this character. I love that.
And Ethan Peck was wearing a German shirt. I guess he bought it in Germany, which is kind of cool.
Cool.
Yeah. I was wearing a Flash shirt to the opening ceremony and a Stargate shirt to the closing. So.
Nice.
Not quite on brand, but that's okay, I think.
Yeah, whatever. It's all Pulp culture.
Although
So,
my host Sebastian, who's Z German, wore a Trekyards shirt the first 2 days, so that was awesome. He greeted me in a Trekyards shirt. I was like, oh, it must be him.
yeah.
Must be him.
Vincent396 says, I thought Doug Drexler said that the Vulcans use hot tubs to pass the time when you guys reviewed the Vulcan ship. Yes, indeed he did. Oh, man. Paul Drozd, I guess. Paul puts in £2.
Thank you.
Serious Trek. I can deal, but swearing for no reason. Yeah.
Well, it's a great context for that is in Generations. They're crashing, close one data, and that's great. That's it's so out of we're so I mean, it's so you don't expect it, but it's so in context.
Or in the last Outpost where they try to snap away from the energy drain, and it didn't work, and Picard's like, "Merde."
Yeah.
Swears in French. Perfect. Relatable, realistic.
And obviously, double dumbass on you. Again, it's a specific beat. Specific beat.
Yes.
And killing bastards kill my son. I mean, that was quite far to go at the time. Whereas just fuck yeah, it's like, yeah, this isn't quite. Because if fuck yeah had been like, if that had been at Discovery season 1 when they'd gone through the jump back in time, back from the universe, and Tears on the Bridge said it worked, fuck yeah. That would have been in time to do it, because it's like the most epic thing just happened, they've all survived. Not just random tardigrade science thing. Like, it wasn't even an epic thing. It was the most epic thing, you know.
It was an epic thing to a scientist, though, so I can see why she got excited.
But there's been more epic things that have happened to her.
I know that, but I'm still...
Yeah.
She gets excited about math, for Christ's sake. So.
Math is cool, after all.
Apparently.
I fail at math, though.
I can't stand math.
Yeah, I can't do math. Those that... When one of my friends took university math, and I just sort of said, I'm sorry for your soul.
Well, funny story here. Okay, I've never been good at math. Never enjoyed math.
Yeah.
Had to take it in high school in grade 9 and 10. Needed those 2 math credits. Figured, you know what? I'm not good at math. Maybe I should take it in grade 11 just to try to get better at it. So I took grade 11 math. It's the only class ever in my history that I failed. It's the only credit I didn't get. Because I took grade 11 math thinking if I'm bad at it, I should maybe take it. Trying to be responsible. Totally backfired in my face because I couldn't do it. I'm not a math person. So, funny story about me. That's the only class I ever failed. So there you go.
I think I failed French, or close enough to fail French. Wasn't good at French.
No, neither was I, but at least I passed it. Jeff Jacobs puts in $2.
There you go.
100, awesome. I will go again at 150. Hashtag make Jeff pay. Yes, make Jeff pay. I don't think we'll get 150. We've only had 100. We haven't hit 150 viewers on this at one time, but that's okay.
Yes. But it's been a nice, gentle discussion today, even though it's about R-rated, X-rated topics.
Yeah. No, I don't have an issue with an R-rated Star Trek summary here. I think it'd be interesting to see his take on it. If they can complete the whole thing, hey, if it's really good, who knows? We might all really like it. I personally am looking forward to it. So.
Yeah, my gut says that, because from what I recall about the early news, that he was sort of pitching them a story, and they were surprised. That I remember being like one way, and they were like, "Oh shit, he wants to do a thing. Yeah, we'll listen to him. Like, come back with us with a script, and we'll think about it." Sort of thing. How can we say no? It was the impression I remember. I don't know if I'm right about that. Up to you, Stuart, and said, "I want to make a Trekyards movie. I want you can have no say in it."
Before Terminator Genesis came out, he said, "Yeah, this is totally like an awesome movie. It totally takes place right after the events of number 2. It's really good. You're really going to get that vibe." He was really pumped for it. I don't know if he was paid to say it, if he actually saw the movie at that point, but it was kind of like, you said that about the movie, buddy.
The thing is, I enjoyed Genesis, and I thought it had a good Terminator vibe. So I wasn't the best movie, but I thought it was definitely better than 4, better than 3.
True enough.
So I was, yeah, I thought it was the third best Terminator. I like the ending. You know, there's a few problems with it, but it was set up the next film as well.
Fit up. Oops. I don't know if he'll F it up. I want to know how big of a Star Trek fan he is and what that means exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. Because I'm a huge Star Trek fan, and so is Samuel, and we love and respect canon.
Yes.
So we would definitely make sure that we follow canon to a T.
Whereas, like, the costume designer of Discovery, big Star Trek fan, and yet you make those costumes? Or, you know, it's like... and set designer, same thing. It's like, you love canon, and yet you still don't... It's like, yeah, I mean, you still have Trek, you still make what you make? It's like, really? That's why studio heads are so important and negative. Whereas if Tarantino's, you know, if he put his weight behind, it's like, no, I'm having final say on the script. You know, end of story. That's why that at least that's. I still almost wish we had Brian Fuller's Trek. They could judge it for what it was going to be, and there's been little hints that he was going to do some sort of clever multi-universe anthology thing to explain away a lot of his stuff, and that was in the storyline just later on down the line, but we had to get there first. Whereas then they, you know, reverse that and yet have the visual of an alternate, and then but the canon of a prime is like, oh, but that wasn't his intention. Oops. You know,
Yeah.
it breaks down. You give a guy complete creative control, see what happens. You know.
Yeah. And Necroglobule makes a good point. Nicholas Meyer wasn't Trekkie at all.
Mm-hmm.
He was responsible for the franchise's undisputed finest hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Again, sometimes being removed from the fandom
Mm-hmm.
and having an outside, you know, objective view of it can really be beneficial.
But he was
instead
also
of people that are so locked into, let's say, canon, like you and I, or
Mm-hmm.
a certain visual look, or
Mm-hmm.
you know, it can really be harmful in a way as well. So, yeah.
But he helped just being the right filmmaker for the job. When you look at their nemesis, a non-Trek fan, he gave Worf a voice filter. And he did a dirt buggy, and you know there were some bad choices in Nemesis because he's not a Trek fan. He misunderstands a few things. Whereas then you go to Insurrection, Jonathan Frakes, you know, okay, there was more about maybe just the storyline rather than, you know, his directing's still good and the script's fine. But you know, he definitely respects canon, knows about it, and all that stuff. So it's kind of like swings and roundabouts of who, what, and where.
Okay, so this new Star Trek, okay, has the Tarantino treatment. Like, he wrote the script, he came up with the concept, the ideas. Would you want him to direct it as well?
Yeah.
Or would you like to say somebody like Frakes direct it?
Nope.
Somebody that we know has a respect for Star Trek.
Nope.
You want to see his complete vision?
Yep, 100%.
Okay.
Because he's, like I say, he's got a conviction of if it's his story, his script, his direction.
He knows what he wants.
He knows what he wants, and I mean his track record is exceptionally good. And if you love something, you don't tend to hurt it. And so it is like even with odd decisions, if there's a reason, you know, hard to think of an example, but if I know I've had times when someone said to me where I've had a problem with a movie plot, and then, you know, someone says, or like a Endgame, there's a thing at the end that you scratch your head about, and then the writer came out and said this, and this. It's like, oh, okay, cool. There's a reason. Like, there's a legitimate reason. Now there's a connective tissue. There was thought put into it. So if he does, you know, if for some reason he has a really graphic sex scene, and he said that was to show the fact that in the Federation you can have Vulcans and Tellarites as a couple, and I wanted to prove a point that in the future we're all one big universe. Okay, there's a point to that. A bit weird, but there's a point to it. You know, if you can justify it with a good reason, then you can kind of, you know, it's like, what was the reason to show the Rel's breasts?
Because they're breasts.
Well, but it's just shock value. You know, there's not actually a real reason for it.
True.
Whereas if we'd had a lovely love story with her and Tyler, and then in season 2 she had a robe and she took it off and they did stuff, and it was like a really nice moment. It's like, well, why do we see film boobs? Oh, because they're just two people in love. That's nice. She just happens to be an alien. But no, it's a dark thing that doesn't have, you know, there's clever reasons and there's just reasons. Michael Elliott says, no Frakes, no offense. Ooh.
Ooh.
Harsh line.
Because he's been the best part of Discovery in most cases. The episodes he touched are really the best ones.
90 Lancaster says Insurrection looks so cheap. That's because the VFX house was bad, and there's reasons for that. It's like Star Trek 5. There's reasons for the budget and whatever. Happiest Gnome says Peel locked into Canon are going to be disappointed, but then the people behind the camera shouldn't be using the Canon and shouldn't be disrespecting the Canon if, like, don't use it if you're going to hurt it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, being a stickler for canon and stuff can sometimes be harmful to a franchise. Things need to change. They need to evolve. They need to adapt. But there's certain things that you just gotta realize are important if they're in the same universe. So.
Well, that's why you just go into the future.
Yeah,
you just go into the future, and then you develop the story further, and then you whatever. You know, there's one of the main reasons that the Marvel Cinematic Universe works is because it has a canon. Look at all the films before them. Look at even X-Men. They keep alternating their universes and changing and not caring, and the films break down at multiple levels. You look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and there's a reason why the end game battle works so well, because you know every character. They all work consistently within the characters. The text's consistent. You know, Iron Man's nanite suit is a bit random until you realize, oh no, they just meant Black Panther and they have nanites. That's how Black Panther suit works. Ooh, canon. Yeah. It's like dum. That would not work without the idea of canon. That shows how important canon is. If used properly, interestingly, you know, it's the most importantly cool thing, and it's your job as a filmmaker to be creative in and around it. Even if you have to take a 100-year time jump, okay, cool. Do something with that, you know, or universe jump or whatever. You know, if canon is a, you know, how many, well, I mean, it's funny, I do CGI for fan films, as you know, and I have a lot of my own, you know, what ships can and can't do. You know, there's a canon that these ships are, each ship has a certain maneuverability factor. That's canon visually. I'm not going to be able to let an NX do like 3 barrel rolls in 5 frames. That ability is not canon.
Yeah.
But by having limitations, now I have to craft a battle where every ship feels consistent and has weight and is interesting, and that is a wonderful challenge, because then you watch at the end of it, you're like, damn, that feels right. You know, in the Temporal Anomaly battle, the only ship that does a really interesting maneuver is the Intrepid class. It does a barrel roll, but that's the only ship in that battle that could do it. The NX couldn't do it really. The Galaxy certainly couldn't. The Excelsior couldn't, but you could. Voyager, you think, could. It's that sort of ship, right?
Yeah.
So everything has a sort of a, you know, a flair to it.
Yeah. And realism, because it stays consistent. Filmmakers aren't sensitive to canon. True. I mean, a lot of them aren't. They just want to tell their story or their vision.
I mean, Simon Pegg was. Why else would you have Phase Pistols, Romulan Wars, Indie War references? I mean, no, Simon Pegg was very canon heavy, and Beyond is enhanced by its canon.
Yeah.
No, I mean, look at their uniforms they're wearing. The fact you got the X1 shuttle pod or a variant in the, you know, there's so much canon in Beyond, and it's better for it. So no,
I think you meant to say some filmmakers aren't that sensitive to canon.
Yeah. But look at, you know, Frakes in First Contact. I mean, that's filled with fun canon things. You know, Picard being in the TNG uniform at the start. If you didn't care about canon, he'd just be in whatever. But by adding the canon, it's more interesting. You know, it adds another level of depth. You know?
Yeah. They could make it NC-17 instead of R. I mean, they could, but with the way the script is currently sitting, it's R, so...
I assume that is just 18 for us. I mean, we don't have those sorts of classifications. Just, is it...
Oh, probably, yeah, 18.
18 or not. There isn't anything else between that.
Yeah. Rampant Fury 925 puts in $5 Canadian. Thank you. I can only guess what Mirror Universe episodes would be like if it was R-rated. Well, exactly, and that's why we mentioned earlier that if the Tarantino movie is a Mirror Universe movie, where everybody in the Mirror Universe is acting that way, but our heroes that are, you know, from the Prime Universe don't, it would work beautifully. It's still not suitable for kids or whatever to watch, obviously, and I'm sure some people would still have issues with it. But yeah, the mirror universe should definitely be a different feel in that regard. Absolutely.
I mean, something as simple as a prime timeline character has to enter the mirror universe of TNG, post TNG, for a heist movie. Like, it's a heist movie in the mirror universe. Like, him and three people have to go, and got three main leads, and they, accidentally kill their mirror counterparts except one, and they're having a fight, and, like the, well, okay, well, an endgame spoiler, but there's a fun endgame, person versus the same person fight, and that's really satisfying, So imagining Mirror versus Prime, like, if we'd had, Shatner actually fight himself, if that was possible at the time, that would have been awesome, in the actual, like, Mirror, not, coward him and strong him, actually, like, Mirror and Prime him, Kung Kirk Fu versus Mirror Kirk Fu, the more dangerous version. Yeah, I mean, Mirror Universe kind of writes itself, but I like a heist movie, because heist movies are fun, I think Tarantino would do well with a heist movie, because you have the montage.
He's done a few.
Yeah.
Like Reservoir Dogs, perfect example.
Yeah. But then you've got, multiple universes later, and because it's in post TNG, we know that you basically invent the post TNG mirror universe. You can do whatever you want, and then you bring in, maybe Admiral Janeway. She's your contact in a flashback in Prime post TNG, and that's it. Everything else is in the mirror universe. That gets around all the problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can still be canon.
Yeah. Richard Kennedy puts in £1.99. Thank you. I'll watch any Trek going. I love it. I'm the same way. That's one thing I've always said. Even if I don't really enjoy it, or I always enjoy it. Like I wasn't the biggest fan of JJ's Trek, but when it comes out, on Blu-ray, I buy it. I feel like if I have to own it because it's Star Trek to me.
Yeah.
So I agree. I watch anything Trek.
But there's obviously still the ranking of better and worse Trek.
Yes.
We all own Star Trek 5, but it's the weakest Star Trek movie.
Yeah.
It does. But that was. Yeah. Yeah.
Michael Elliott puts in $5. Thank you.
Thank you.
What Trekian type crossover would you like to see? I'd like to see Deep Space Nine meets Orville. Deep Space Nine, that's an odd choice. I'd like to see this Voyager meet Orville. I think that'd be more interesting, personally. Just the way the characters are.
Oh, you mean like Harry Kim and Paris working with Scott Grimes?
Yeah.
They go to a bar.
Yeah.
That'd be him and Jamal, the black guy. I can't remember his name. It's now been a few weeks, months since we watched it. Those four would be a really fun pairing, actually.
Yeah.
I think Ed would get on quite well with Janeway as well, and you could have Seven go after Isaac, and Chakotay go after the second in command. Like everyone pairs off in weird ways. It would be kind of fun.
Who would go after Yafid?
The Doctor. No, that's weird.
You could be chasing him around trying to study him. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Or he goes on the holodeck and maybe meets a holodeck love. Oh, the Horta. Holodeck Horta. There you go.
Oh, man.
That's funny. Yeah, so guys, we've got a few minutes left. If you guys want maybe... Who wants to be the last Super Chat? We'll say that this time. Who wants to be the final Super Chat question? Would be fun. And Varan Victor's asked, which speaker, 5 or Insurrection? I say 5 every day. Because Insurrection is just sort of dull, but it's not bad. Insurrection has plenty... 5 has plenty of bad and a couple of good, but there's more worse than... Like, it's this. Insurrection is this.
I'm going to say if I had to watch one, it'd be 5. Insurrection just feels like a 2-part TNG episodes to me. It's crammed together, and it's not great. 5 at least has my Kirk Spock refit. It's got, some Kirk Spock McCoy moments that I really like. So I'm going to say 5.
Yeah, but Insurrection has the great collector design. It has the okay. You have
I really don't like Insurrection.
You have the awesome the British Tar battle. You have that ship's awesome. You have the captain's yacht is awesome. You have Aurora Waffle's performance is awesome. You have the running out of air. That's awesome. You got the battle in the nebula. That's pretty good with Riker being in command. That's pretty fun. You got the Trill lady. She's quite memorable. She's kind of fun her own way. Launch the core. I already did. That's a good bit. Plenty of good bits. I mean, it is plenty of fun things.
Don't launch the core. I got an idea. Ah, fuck. Our rating right there. It's already back there.
Yep.
Can you swing around? Maybe pick it up.
Nope.
I wouldn't be launching the core without. Well, I guess if you have to, it's the only thing you can do. But that was kind of an odd. I'm glad you said that, sir, because I already did.
Yeah. Geordie, divert all power from the core to the shields. Oh. So the core's gone. What do you mean it's gone? I did a thing. I wrongly predicted your order, sir.
Yeah.
No, I like a lot of Insurrection. Insurrection has a lot of stronger moments for me. Obviously, you got Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, but that's the only saving grace really for that film. Those
Plus,
three.
it's a cool bridge.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
Refits. It's still a refit. The refit and the bird of prey, flying side by side is a good scene. There's a few good things in that.
But the CGI in general in that film is very under par, which is funny. Same for Insurrection. Like the CGI from both films is really like.
It's different effects companies for each film. Yeah.
Because it's funny because ILM did most of the other ones for each of the other, and it's just like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I would say Star Trek 5 for me, just because I'm a TOS guy and it's got more TOS for me. So.
But it's funny because Insurrection is also a very good ensemble piece. It's more like a Star Trek 4. Everyone in the cast gets stuff properly, whereas 5, I mean, no one gives a shit about the cast really, and you break it down. Shatner sort of gave them like one moment each, and then some out of character stuff because they're lost in this trance, which doesn't quite make sense. And then, as we know, Len Nimoy and DeForest K both refused to do parts of the script because they said it's not in our character. So Shatner's actively trying to make them do stuff that they're like, we're not doing this, Bill. We're not going to betray you. Rewrite the script, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's.
Richard Kennedy puts in £1.99. Thank you. DS9 Orville crossover. Cassidy meets Dr. Flynn. Oh.
Oh, sorry. So what was it? Who's that from? Sorry. Oh,
Richard Kennedy.
Oh yeah.
Cassidy Yates meets Dr. Finn.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
I still think they need to bring in on Orville either Jake as somebody, or if they could get Avery Brooks, it'd be cool. That's the father of the kids in the Orville.
100%, 100%. Although another interesting comment, Jamal Taylor, who's also a super regular, 5 and Insurrection are both on par to me, but I'm watching both over Nemesis. Now we just watched Nemesis. Would you say Nemesis is better than those two films?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
There's lots about Nemesis I don't like, but there's still a lot of really interesting things, like the scimitar. The battle at the end is awesome. The way that he deals with the scimitar by ramming it, great. A lot of good things in that film.
I feel like Nemesis has a few solid misunderstandings of Trek because of the director, which it leads to some like, but whereas Insurrection is average Trek, Nemesis has some really strong other bits, and so whereas like Insurrection is sort of a this, and 5 is like this, Nemesis is like a sort of a this, so it's like has some weaker, but has some much stronger, so it's kind of like a closer, whatever.
Benjamin Nelson brings up an interesting point. He says, what about the Equinox? A Tarantino film set on a ship that's been stranded in another galaxy or something, and they're really run down and ragged. That would make a lot of sense as well for an R-rated movie, because everybody's on their last nerve, resources are low. That would work. That would work for me as well. You need a reason for them to be so dark in the reactions to things, or just, and that would work. I'd like that.
That's amazing, actually. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't care if it's this basically just Voyager again. A ship is Equinox, just a ship is lost. I'd do it in a really interesting way. That's yeah. I mean, why not? I mean, how many times have we done the exact same story in Trek? I mean, there's literally an episode called First Contact, and the movie called Insurrection, and Nomad, and the motion picture. It's like they're too close to really have been allowed to be made, but you know what I mean? Yeah. Yes.
Fleet Pass Swiftback puts in $1.99, says, "Evening, gents. Sorry I'm so late." That's all right. At least you made it.
Yeah, glad we caught you. Or you caught us, I guess.
Yeah. And I'll just be right back.
Okay. Oh, God. Nemesis, no. The Data, John Harden. The Data B4 story was terrible. The A story was okay, but it was good, but it wasn't strong. Yes, completely agree. Data and B4 was the weakest, one of the weakest parts of that. Certainly. The thing I don't like about Nemesis is because like one big space battle. Disagree, Dan. It's very whatever.
You're disagreeing with somebody. Dan, what's going on?
Dan said that the thing I don't like about Nemesis is it's basically one big space battle.
I would have to disagree as well.
Yeah, it's the most pacey, realistic battle in not necessarily all of Trek, but it's you know, yeah, it kind of yeah, it's funny. Then you compare it to like the start of 09, where you know 1 billion missiles hit the Kelvin and it can still do everything and fly, and it's like, wow, we're getting hit. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, yeah.
Hashtag no stakes. Yay.
Yeah. Viscerally more visceral, but like less actually interesting. Like it looks cooler, but it's less interesting. Whereas the simple fact that when they say, you know, we're out of torpedoes, it's like shit. Like that one thing is more tense than 10 torpedoes hitting the bridge and blowing up a segment and people flying out. You know, that's more tense. For me anyway. More grounded, more real, more interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so final 5 minutes. Let's stop at 5 minutes early because we might as well. So guys, who wants to be the final super chat, the final question, the final thought? I think we've said our thoughts on this, and we've had a nice little sort of a fluid conversation today. And we are looking at TNG episode Where No One Has Gone Before Tomorrow.
6.
Yes, which is the Traveller one.
Dun dun dun.
And I guess I have a specifically good memories of this one, so I'll see if they actually hold up.
Sweet.
Yes.
I just have like general. Sorry.
Okay.
But again, have to watch it again, obviously. The George Kirk and the Romulan story would make a nice little character piece. Bomb. So this has been an R-rated version of Trekyards because Samuel swore quite a bit.
Oh, and Jill also says, when are you doing the Traveller episode? It's tomorrow, Jill. Doing 2 in 1 week. Because yeah,
we're gonna have to start doing 2 a week at least to get through them.
Hey, if you
I
guys...
want to do them all. I do want to do them all. They've been really popular so far, and it's been so fun.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's been nice because it's been refreshing.
Fleet Paw Swiftback puts in $4.99 and says we have exhausted our complement of photon torpedoes. Phaser banks are at 4%. Yeah. Shields are at 68%. Seals are at 40%. One more hit and we'll be screwed. Boom, 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 boom. Shields are down to 12%. What?
Yeah. Oh, one more hit.
Somebody's fired because you're not misreading a screen or the computer's having a stroke, one or the other.
The classic line: one more shot and we're dead. Cut to exterior. Boom, 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 boom. One more shot and we're dead. I was like, what? You idiots.
Well, no one's saying that those exterior shots are happening after that statement is said. They could be happening before.
Ah, so it's Pulp Fiction. That's a flashback or that's a flash forward and a flash. Just that was about 6 months ago. We're just seeing it edited together for some reason.
Yeah, maybe Tarantino's Trek will do that. It'll jump from before to after and all over the place because his storytelling is very non-linear a lot of times. So
yeah, I mean Django Unchained is very linear. I mean that's why I say that's a much more film. I think that was. It's really worth watching. The performances are really solid in that film, really solid. Like he gets a lot out of his actors. I'll always say that he gets so much out of them.
Yeah,
very good character, very good actor director.
Michael Elliott puts in $5. Thank you very much. That's the last one, I guess.
Yes.
Star Trek Red Shirts. Quentin Tarantino and the crew of the Starship Enterprise go back in time to 1990s Los Angeles. Spock meets Tupac. Hey, I like Tupac. That'd be good.
All ideas are valid, but should be worth being made. Yes.
All right, I guess that's a good place to leave it off.
Yes. I guess we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, 5 Eastern Standard Time, and 10 in the UK. And you look forward to seeing you there. Thank you guys for joining us for this one. It was definitely an interesting topic, and I'm sure as more news comes out about this, we'll be talking about it again at some point if it is going forward. So,
well, yeah, I mean, one thing that's worth saying right at the end is that it's not in production, it's not in pre-production. There is a script, but it's not an active production. It's just a intent to make maybe. So but it's like if James Cameron turned around and said, "I want to make this," it's like, oh well, they'll find a way. Yeah. Well, it's like Rob Downey Jr. was in Spider-Man for one scene, and then he talked them into being in it a lot. So I mean, if an actor, if someone with that much clout wants it, then yeah. Okay.
Anyway, guys, thank you very much, and until next time, which is tomorrow. So make sure you come if you want to see a TNG review. I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Commander Kongs, and that's Quentin Tarantino on the screen. Yay! Bye, everyone.
Bye. Is that one?